Welcome back to another episode of Your Body Speaks. I'm your host, Dr. Brook Sheehan, and I am so excited to have a dear friend of mine, Laura Laut, with us today. She is a nutrition response tester. Laura, share with our audience what a nutrition response tester is.
Hey guys, Brooke, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. Okay, a nutrition response tester is somebody who designs personalized clinical nutrition programs by using a technique called muscle testing and applied kinesiology to figure out what organ systems in the body are not functioning optimally. And then we use things like homeopathics, whole food supplements, herbs, and then dietary and lifestyle changes to essentially make your life a whole lot better.
That's so awesome. And you said a key word there that a lot of my patients know because I do it as well, which is muscle testing. So I want to take this back a little further. Like, tell us a little bit about your journey, like where you were, how you got into what you're doing now, and like the journey, yeah, the story.
Yeah, so it's probably been a part of me my entire life. So from literally day one, I was adjusted by my dad minutes after coming out of my mom because he's a chiropractor. So that's kind of where my journey began from
Mhm.
birth. And essentially just growing up in a household that was super mindful about health and always 10 steps ahead of the
Mhm.
curve on everything. My dad was really just over the top, which is I'm so thankful for. But he started getting into muscle testing as a chiropractor,
Mhm.
and I think I was about, I'd say 17ish. I started suffering for the first time in my life from actually some serious health challenges. I'd never had a problem with my health before.
Mm.
Um, and it was all around my menstrual cycle and just female hormones in general. It was a part of my
Mhm.
body that was really being attacked. And I had really, really bad cystic acne. Um, I was depressed. I was just an unhappy individual. My periods would cause me so much pain. I'd throw up. I'd be like on the couch in agonizing pain for several days. And it was just becoming something that I was not looking forward to every month. And especially because I also didn't know when they were going to come because they were so irregular. So
Yeah.
that preceded me to, okay, let me go to the medical doctor because that's what we all do.
Mhm.
And I went to him and asked him for some advice, wrote down my symptoms, and we did an ultrasound, and it confirmed that I had 6 large cysts on each ovary. And I did have PCOS, is what they decided to call it.
Mhm.
Um, and he basically said, okay, what we can do is we can put you on some birth control, and that'll just cover your bases. It'll make you feel better. But this is uncurable, and due to the amount that you have on your ovaries and how large they are, you might not have an opportunity to bear children one day. And he just kind of like told me that plain and simple, and then proceeded to close his eyes, take his book out with all these like prescriptions, and literally close his eyes, take his finger, and he pointed to some random birth control that was on the list. And he
Gosh.
looks at me and he said, okay, cool, this is the one we're going to go with. And I think he was trying to make light of the moment, but I was like absolutely terrified. I'm like, nope, I'm
Mm.
okay. I walked out that day, and then luckily my dad had just finished his muscle testing school.
Yeah.
And I got started on a nutrition response testing program within a couple of days. And
Mhm.
within 4 months of being on a program, all my symptoms were gone, and my ultrasounds, the little cysts, they were all gone.
Mhm.
So, and this is even before like I personally knew God.
Mhm.
So I knew that he obviously had a play in this, but
Yeah.
this is before even that journey took place. It was just
Right.
amazing to see how quick this process could heal.
Oh my gosh. So I'm listening to your story. A lot of facial like responses on my end. I'm sure the listeners or the people viewing will be able to see those. I was like, oh my gosh. And then, big smiles on my face, just listening to the progression of how, and this is one thing I say to patients and people alike. The body talks to us. It tells us what's going on. And if we learn to listen to it, it will reveal where it has interference and where that interference needs to be removed to help support it. So being told, you're never going to be able to bear kids or it's going to be difficult and all this, and here, take this birth control. Really, what that doctor was doing was what I call lazy medicine, truthfully, like totally lazy medicine, because instead of looking at the like for the root and figuring out what is going on in Laura's body, why is her uterus having all of these problems or all of the drama in it, he just goes, okay, here's the med for it. And can we tell the listeners the exciting news?
Yeah, I'm actually currently almost 7 months pregnant now. So, and it happened on our second try.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ah, God's so good. Oh, that's so
Mhm.
amazing. So yes, so even when, they give diagnosis and say that it's going to be near impossible for these things to happen, God definitely comes through and things can shift so drastically. You just got to keep the faith and hold on strong. So, Laura, thank you for sharing that. That was so beautiful. So now kind of transitioning from that journey of then you becoming that nutrition response tester, like what did that, so you got a lot of results working with your dad and your dad doing it on you, and then you said, I want to do this, I want to help people through my experience and how this has helped me. What does that transition look like, from going as the patient, as a patient who was getting muscle tested to somebody who is actually muscle testing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question because in school, we were always taught to become a patient first
Yes.
and then to become a muscle tester after. And that just really goes, it shows that you really agree and know that what you're doing works.
Yes.
And it makes your patients get better that much faster. So pretty much I was trying to figure out what to do. I didn't know if I wanted to be a nurse or like I just knew that I wanted to help people in the health field, but
Hmm.
I wasn't quite ready to step into like full-blown chiropractic school at the time, just like with the prices and the debt and all of that. I was like,
Hmm.
how do I like avoid that but still
Yeah.
be able to help people
Right.
like the way my dad helped me.
Hmm.
And he had just finished his program, and it was about the time that, I go to college, things like that. So I did end up going to school for just nutrition, for a
Hmm.
nutrition degree.
Hmm.
But while I did that, I went through another program for nutrition response testing. And that was about a 2-year program. And my dad actually got to teach me in part of that program, which was really cool because he was so far along by that point.
Yeah.
So the practitioner now became the teacher, which is really cool. So I was part of the first class that they had out in Oakland, which was great because typically it was all done in Florida and you have to go
Mm,
in person. Um,
mm.
I finished my classes and my schooling in February of 2020. And then I got my
Wow.
first patient on the books a week later. And then, boom, the world shut down.
Wow.
And we continued to keep our doors open. And
Yeah.
we basically were like, we're a necessity.
Yeah.
We have to
Yep.
be here.
Yep.
I
Healthcare.
think we had, yeah, healthcare.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yeah.
matter what form it was in.
Right.
And
Right.
we had about a 2 week lull of like, okay, no one's coming in, but we were still showing up every day.
Hmm.
And after about 2 weeks, the phone calls just started coming in, one
Hmm.
after another. I need help. My MD isn't willing to see me because
Mm.
I have COVID
Yep.
and they don't want me in the office, but I'm sick and I don't know what to do. And we were
Yep.
like, okay, well, this is what we're here for. Come on in.
Yep.
And we were taking people with full blown COVID and fixing them right there on the spot. because they couldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So awesome. Like, I mean, awesome that you guys were getting people well so quickly. Awesome that you guys, like as a healthcare facility, like stayed open and did what you needed to do to help people through these very scary times, for a lot of people, because nobody had answers as to what was really happening and going on in that whole time. Like it feels like it was just yesterday, and I'm like, gosh, it was like 5 years ago. Like it's
Yeah.
so wild. But yeah, what an interesting time. So, and our stories, it's very interesting hearing you share because our stories parallel very closely. Like I officially graduated chiropractic school in 2019,
Right.
and then started in a practice in Cardiff, California, like Encinitas area. And within 3 months of being there, it was like shut down. So we did the whole closure for 2 weeks and then we opened back up and we're seeing patients and all of that, during that time. But it was like very closely, you finishing in February of 2020, and getting started on that. So how cool. Just
Yeah.
wanted to say that. That's awesome. One of the things you said, in terms of like muscle testing and helping people, I know that I know this about you, but I want the listeners to know too, is you do muscle testing where the person is not even in front of you as well.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I know we have different words for it. You can use your words. Either way, it doesn't matter. But you absolutely can muscle test a person without them physically in front of you. And I want you to hear it from Laura too.
Yeah, it's definitely a concept that people are like, "Wait, what?
Yeah, yeah,
Explain."
yeah.
And it takes a while, and even muscle
Mm,
testing in person is
right.
like most people are like, "Whoa, I don't
Yes,
understand how this is working," but it's one of those like just trust the process
yes,
and see the results.
right.
But yeah, muscle testing remotely, over the phone.
Yep.
We always like equivalent it to prayer, which
Hmm.
is, when you're praying for somebody, or you can pray for them over the phone, or you can pray for them at your dinner table, and you're going to get the
Yep.
same result as praying for them in person.
Yep.
The prayer is still going to get to the person.
Yep.
And there's so many ways, even for people who don't involve themselves in prayer, to kind
Yeah.
of like understand this. But
Yeah.
it's like one of those things where, sometimes you'll be walking around, or you'll wake up one morning and your friend from 20 years ago is all of a sudden in your brain, and
Yes.
you're like, whoa, I haven't thought about this person for 20 years. Like, why are
Right.
they all of a sudden in my head? And then you might reach out to them and say, hey, is everything okay? Like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And they have cancer,
Yes.
or their parent just died, or whatever. And
Hmm.
you're like, wow, how did that happen? I don't understand.
Hmm.
And it all has to, it all comes down to like the frequency that's being thrown through the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your music has frequency. That's why when you listen to certain songs you feel really depressed, and then other songs you're like, wow, I feel great after listening to this song.
Right.
um, Same kind of thing. You can't see it, but you
Hmm.
can feel it, and it's there.
Right.
So remote muscle testing is the same concept. It's just there's an application behind it,
Yeah.
that we can tangibly like use. And I know everybody has different processes, but in the
Yeah.
end, you come to the same result, and that's healing the person that you're
Right.
remotely testing.
Right. Giving that body, whether it's in front of you physically or away from you, giving that body what it's requesting. So one of the analogies I like to use, or metaphors I use with patients sometimes too, is like, and I love the one you said, friend from 20 years ago, you just all of a sudden wake up and you feel them on your heart. And it's like, I got to call, I got to reach out. It's just, you can't get them out of your head. It's kind of like the same thing too. You're driving in your car and you just get this inkling, this feeling like, oh, someone's looking at me. Like, you're sitting on red light, someone's looking at me, and you turn and look, and sure enough, the person next to you is like staring directly into your vehicle. All of those like feelings, like those sensations, gut instincts, all of that kind of stuff. those are all from God. God did not design our body just physically. He did not just give us a skin suit with a bunch of different organs and cool things that do what they do to keep us alive. We are spiritual, we are emotional, and we are mental beyond just the physical aspect. And that's something I always talk about. It's like the four pillars. We have to look at all four pillars of health, not just the physical, in order to really address the body as like a whole. So muscle testing is a way of really getting past the mental psyche of the actual person, because the person is coming to us, right, with symptoms. Oh my gosh, my shoulder hurts. Oh, my belly aches. Oh, but a lot of times, and I'd love to hear from you, Laura, on this. A lot of times, what I've seen in practice is that that is not even the primary issue. Their stomach ache or their shoulder pain or their headaches. It's like much deeper and in a different area. And it's like, I know that these are your problems. I'm not acknowledging your symptoms, but I do want to tell you that your body is saying X, Y, and Z. And if we address these primary symptoms you're experiencing will actually resolve on their own because your body was designed with so much intelligence. So all that to say, like, as you've been working with patients in this kind of way, whether it's remotely or like in person, what are the things that have like truly stood out? Like, do you have stories to share in terms of like patient care where like things like that, where it's just like they're coming in for one thing and you're just like, you discover something completely different and you're like, actually, it's this.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
and as you were talking, I was like, wow, yeah, I can think of like so many people that um we always the great thing about being in where we're being is we have the time and capacity to listen to our patients a little bit more.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not on this like 10-minute fixed schedule in
Yes.
and out, like
Yes.
hundreds of patients a day.
Yep. Yep.
We actually have the time to sit down, and
Right.
it almost becomes like your own personal crime scene, and you get to like figure out, okay, what is going on in this body? Like this body is now a crime scene, and what did it?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so it makes it really fun because you have the time to do so.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was thinking about how I always take like in-depth patient history because I love to know about my patients. I like to
Hmm.
know like what their jobs are,
Hmm.
what kind of pets do they have at home,
Right.
things like that, because all of these things can be pieces to their puzzle.
Absolutely.
What were they working as 20 years ago?
Hmm.
And sometimes the like less is more in
Yes.
testing.
Yes.
So knowing a little bit less is actually more
Hmm.
for the practitioner.
Hmm.
And it's actually really cool because there'll be times where we'll have patients that'll come in and there's like key pieces of health information that they completely forget to write down. Like key pieces, like, oh yeah, I had my gallbladder removed 2 years ago. I no
Yeah.
longer have a gallbladder. It's like, oh, okay, that would have been great to know, but I didn't need to know it
Right.
because it came up in my testing.
Right.
And people will
Yeah.
be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I actually did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And totally forgot to tell you. And I'm like, well, you just didn't need to tell me because your body's always going to tell me the truth.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so there's
Yeah.
no like, we always say it, there's no lying in muscle testing.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
can't get around
Right.
it.
Right.
We always know if your diet's off. We always know if you're not taking your supplements. Like it shows up. And there's been cases too where a lot of the time people will come in and like you said, they'll have like a gut issue
Hmm.
and it ends up being their thyroid.
Right.
And it's like, well, I came in for my gut and
Yeah.
you're working on my thyroid,
Hmm.
but this is like somehow working. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, because your pieces to your puzzle, it just so happened to be that. It was not your
Hmm.
gut. When the
Right.
person next to you, it was somebody else. It was something else. And that's the cool thing about muscle testing is it's designed to the person specifically.
Yeah.
If you go into a medical doctor's office, 90% of the time they're going to give you a probiotic because you're complaining about your gut health or like Prilosec OTC, and you actually need something for your thyroid or your adrenal glands. So the probiotic is just a waste of money.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like I say too, your body tattletales on you. So you can try to like tell me you're doing all these things, you're gonna get tattletold on.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna know. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, like you guys can be honest, I'm gonna find out. So, and it's so true, like what you're saying, the countless patients that I'm seeing who have gone to the medical doctor, who've gone through all these different tests and done all these different things with so many different practitioners to eventually hit the end of their rope and they're showing up and they're like, I don't know what else to do. And I'm like, well, let's figure it out. Let's unravel the pieces. Let's figure out what your body has to say and support it in the way that it's asking for. So I know one of the questions I get a lot in about muscle testing is, well, how do you make it like, how can you reproduce, the information? Because it can vary from one extreme to another. My question, I guess, to you is, for you, how is it reproducible, like in your words? And then also, is there something you do for yourself prior to seeing a patient to make sure you're a clear vessel so that none of Laura's quote unquote health interference, is going on into someone else's body?
totally. Yeah, it's a great question. It's kind of like, I do ministry at church.
Mm-hmm.
So before I pray for somebody, I
Yep.
have to be completely for that person.
Yep.
I can't be in anywhere else. And it's really cool because, you could have had a really hard night with maybe your husband or your
Mm-hmm.
spouse, and the morning's not so great, and things at home are they're shaky. But the moment you walk into that building, the rule is all that goes, and
Mm-hmm.
you're here for your patient.
Yep.
So I would say it takes a lot of prayer beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
just making sure that God He is your full center.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do this because for cleanliness purposes. I actually wash my hands between every patient,
Mm-hmm.
especially if I'm doing in person,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like a ritual. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it shows me that, okay, I've cleaned off the last person,
Yes.
they're wiped away, and then
Yes.
now I can move on to the next person. So like it's a
Mm-hmm.
clean slate. It's been started over. Sometimes
Yep.
I'll like wipe off my chest or I'll wipe off my arms.
Yeah.
To me, it just shows me like, okay, cool. I'm
Yep.
clean. We're good. I'm
Yep.
on to the next person.
Yeah.
Because as you probably know, Brooke, sometimes, I mean, especially if you're a full remote tester,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier. But in person, when you have a mom who's bringing in their newborn and you're testing the newborn through the mom,
Yep.
you have to make sure you know who you're testing.
Yes.
If you've
Yes.
got yourself, the
Yes.
newborn, and the mom, you've really got to make sure that, okay, my like full intention is on this
This baby.
person, and you really have to like focus in. So those things we do before we go into the room, um,
Yeah.
it's like makes or breaks the appointment, in my
Absolutely.
opinion.
Oh, that's so good. And I was physically in an office doing muscle testing for 3 solid years
Okay.
before going like 100% remote 2 years ago. And that very thing, even with pregnant mamas, if you're doing any testing in the baby, like while she's, baby's in utero, like same thing. Like, I mean, okay, is this the baby? Is this the mom? Like, where is this information? So yes, having very clear delineations and being like tuned into that particular person that you are working with in that moment. And yeah, beautiful. Okay, so next question. And I know you are, you're a woman of faith, just like myself. And so we have that connection, where we do pray, we have those, certain set things, not as a checking the box, but like, Lord, use me as a vessel. Like, this is not about Dr. Brook. This is not about Laura. This is not about us. It's about this person that you're placing in front of us, like helping them get to a certain point, So praying to be that clear vessel, right? And clearing ourselves energetically so we can be that clear vessel. How, as a faith-based practitioner, like how do you tell like when a certain body cue is real? So something that the body actually needs versus I know, and you've gone on so many beautiful rants, by the way. I just want to say beautiful rants
Thank
about
you.
this wellness, quote unquote. I'm not even going to say that it's a real thing, this wellness culture that is really driven by so many quick fixes to things. So quick weight loss, quick, dosing of testosterone, quick hormone replacement, all these quick fixes for things. So how do you, as a wellness practitioner that is faith-based, really understand that this body cue is real versus something that a patient might be walking in and going like, well, I need to take X, Y, and Z because I can't lose weight and blah, 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 like where it's driven by fear and anxiety. So I hope
Yeah,
that question makes sense.
yeah, yeah. I think that's where it comes in is being able to take the time with your patient. You
Yeah,
know, they're not a quick fix, and
right.
having, 5 to 10 minutes with them is not enough time sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, sometimes I have to talk to them about their life. What's going
Mhm.
on outside of
Mhm.
your health world? What are you struggling with at home? Are
Mhm.
we having financial issues? Because there's so many other aspects to health than just
Yes.
the food you're eating and the exercise you're doing. So are you in good financial health? Things
Right.
like that is, are you are you being stressed in your job?
Hmm.
Uh, and I think a lot of the times I'll see that kind of like manifest through people. And when you're a practitioner who takes the time to sit down with people,
Hmm.
they appreciate the attention and the
Hmm.
time. So they want to, it's almost like it's like a cry for help, but through health care.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
they want to talk about their stuff, but they also know that they're not in the right setting for it.
Hmm.
So I think it all comes down to like having really good practitioner discernment. Okay, like what is actually going on with this patient? Are
Hmm.
they not losing weight because they're writing things down that are incorrect? Are they binging?
Yeah.
Are they having an emotional like response to food? Things
Mhm.
like that. Um, and I always say, like, if things don't start getting better within a couple of weeks to 2 months, there's something else going on.
Mhm.
And I can be a little bit harsh with my patients at times.
Mhm.
That's like how I'm known as a practitioner, is I tend to get like under people's skin a little bit so I can
Mhm.
get to the root of the answer, like what's
Mhm.
really going on here.
Mhm.
But that's how we get results.
Mhm.
And from there, we can be like, okay, you may need a little bit more help than just me here.
Yeah.
And that's why we're in a holistic approach. It's not just me. I
Mhm.
can't do everything for you.
Right.
There's other people and other teams that sometimes have to come in and help out.
Yeah.
I hope that answers the question.
No, that is good because you're talking that you did answer it about the body cues and knowing what is like really real versus them coming in with the fear and anxiety and knowing how to like really navigate that too because people are really afraid of their bodies and that is the biggest reason that I do believe that God put that on my heart to create those talk to me body card deck
Yeah.
because it's for people to really anchor back into faith. And I don't mean to put a shameless plug there, but I just transition because people do live in with so much fear and so much anxiety about every little signal or every little bit of body noise, like, oh, a little ache, oh my gosh, and especially with their chest, right? Anything happen in their chest, they're dying of a heart attack. They better get their will together, like all of these things. And I'm sure you see that. So getting under people's skin and really putting their feet to the fire is not a bad thing at all because I think sometimes people need that because really it's either A, going to the doctor and the doctor closing his eyes and just, throwing a dart or putting a finger on some drug and saying, you're going to take this without really taking into consideration everything as a whole. Like that's one extreme, or going to you who's going to like make them have to do more than just what they've been used to doing, right? And
Yeah.
and a lot of times I'm holding my patients' feet to the fire too with so much stuff because it's like, look, like you've been doing everything else and it's not working. So like do this stuff based on what your body's asking for and we'll see how things go, right? Like so just again, like what you said earlier, there is a lot of faith and trust, but understanding that the results speak for themselves. So you haven't been muscle testing as of yesterday. Like you've been muscle testing for a while,
Mhm.
just like I have. We have patient stories. We have so many different times working with the body where we think it's something. As a practitioner, I get into my doctor brain. I'm like, oh, it's got to be X, Y, and Z. And then the body says something completely different. And
Yeah.
so many times, and what I've learned is I have to trust the body. God designed the body with more wisdom than any doctor, scientist, like practitioner, anybody on the planet. If the body is saying something, I need to trust that, you know? And so that's what I've learned over the years of doing that. So, um, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to wrap up. Well, do you feel, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you do want to share before I give you the final question?
I did want to add in something because
Yeah.
people are always skeptical,
Yes. Oh
and
my gosh, yes.
especially the like reproducing question.
Yes.
Like how do you reproduce a result?
Yes.
And it's really cool because I have another practitioner with me in the office, my dad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there are times where I will have him reproduce a result for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just maybe I felt like the test wasn't 100% accurate, or maybe it was a male for me, and
Mm-hmm.
for an example, and they're just really muscling me out. They're stronger than I am. I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, 100%.
Yep.
And I'll ask him, I'll say nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I need you to do the consult again. And he'll be like, okay, we'll go ahead. He'll do it again and
Yep.
he'll get the exact same results. Maybe he picked a different variety of supplements because we all go to our
Mm-hmm.
go-tos,
Mm-hmm.
but the results, the organ systems, and the reasons why they're not optimal are always correct.
Yeah.
So that's like a great show of, yeah, it can be reproduced
Absolutely.
as long as you've got two functional people that have cleared themselves and they're ready.
Yes. Amen to that. That is so, thank you for sharing that. That is so beautiful. And yes, like that is how results get reproduced, you guys. That's why, and there's it's not, and again, even like I just said, Laura hasn't been muscle testing since yesterday. She's been doing it for 5 years. But prior to Laura doing it, her dad's been doing it. Prior to her dad doing it, there's been years and decades of research around muscle testing. So if you're having any doubt, and I know my listeners, most of them are patients, but if you're not a patient, like if you're having any doubt in muscle testing, you know, you can look up so much, even PubMed research on muscle testing and reproducing results and having the body like really be the guide in terms of what the treatment needs to be. And that's the beautiful thing. That's why results happen the way that they do, is because we're not going off of the primary thing that the patient is saying vocally with their words, like, oh, my shoulder hurts. We're going off based on what the body has to say.
Yeah.
So, yay. Oh, I love that. So, okay. So, closing question, and this is a question I ask all my guests on the show. So, since this podcast is called Your Body Speaks, and it's really about teaching listeners how to learn the body's cues, what is one way off the top of your head that you know that the body speaks? And I'll give you an example just to kind of help you like think. So one of the things that I tell patients all the time is sneezing. So non-allergy season, you just start to randomly sneeze a couple times, sign your body, your immune system's kicking up. Better rest, better drink water, and cut out all sugar, or
Yeah.
you're going to be flat on your back. You're going to miss that body signal. You're going to be flat on your back. So, what is one way for you that, like, just again, thinking, because the body speaks in so many different ways, like, how does the body speak?
I would think the skin for
Yeah.
sure
Ooh,
is
good
huge
one.
because it's the biggest organ in the body.
Yep.
And if there's something coming out of the skin that's not normal, so maybe
So good.
acne, psoriasis, eczema, rashes of
Mm,
any sort, hives, The body is trying to say, hey, is there something not right inside of me? And I'm literally trying to push it out
So
through the
good.
biggest organ, because the other organs, they're not working right.
Right.
They're not doing their jobs anymore. So
Ooh,
I always tell people, like, if you've got skin stuff, go in and get looked at, because
yeah.
there's something else underneath the skin. Sometimes the skin's like the last thing to show up,
Yes.
right? So funguses,
Most of the
weird
time.
stuff. Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, it's probably been hanging out in you for a lot longer.
Right.
Now it's finally like, I've had enough. I'm literally trying to show you in the mirror right now that there's something wrong with me.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful. I love that. Yes, the skin does speak. The
Yes.
body as a whole speaks, but the skin is like giving you actual clear words. You may not like those words, like all the pimples and the breakout and the eczema and all that, but that means you need to do something.
Yeah.
So beautiful, beautiful. Well, Laura, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for hopping on here and sharing with my listeners all the beautiful work that you do as a practitioner. Share with them like how to get connected with you. And then I know you are offering something for the listeners as well. So, yeah,
Yeah, so I specialize in infertility. So making people fertile again is
love it.
my favorite thing to do. And then also children and babies.
Okay.
So anybody who is needing help in that area, male and female, I'm offering 50% off their first consult, and then prior discounts to signing up for programs and things like
Awesome.
that. Um, and then there's one other
And
thing.
how can they connect with you?
Oh, my Instagram's a great way to do it.
Okay.
So, Laura Laut is my Instagram. And then our website is sdnhic.com.
Okay.
And you can find our phone number. You can book your visit through the website, all of that kind of stuff. So super easy.
Perfect. And to make that easier for you guys so you don't have to like run around trying to find a pen and how do you spell Laura Lee Lott and all that, I will put everything in the show notes. So just like scroll down, hit show more on those wherever podcast platforms you're listening to, and you'll see those links in there that Laura just mentioned. So, yay. Thank you so much again for being here. And I hope you guys have loved this guest episode. I am going to do more of these. And I will see you on the next episode. Have a great one.
Thanks, Brooke.
Bye.